Welcome to Vitaminutes. Today's topic is digestive disorders. So I get a lot of people come into the store, want to talk about their digestive problems, and there's one common mistake that a lot of medical professionals make that's actually dangerous, and that's the main thing I'd like to address today. But our first overview is to appreciate just the basics of how digestion works. We start up top here, and that's where enzymes work. And you can get yourself multi-enzyme products, and they help you digest milk, sugar, carbs, fats, protein, fiber. They cover all the food groupings. You don't want to necessarily become dependent on enzymes because taking a pill consistently can cause that effect. So if you find that of benefit, you want to work to rebuild the pancreas, which is where your enzymes come from. And you want to spend some time eating fermented and raw foods and not an emphasis on processed and cooked foods, which are what deplete us of enzymes. The next level down is in the middle of the stomach, and that's where your stomach acid is. And you can buy betaine hydrochloride as a pill, and that will kick up your stomach acid levels. Certain people are prone to low stomach acid, specifically certain blood types, types A and AB, as are vegetarians and seniors prone to low stomach acid. Finally, down below in the intestinal tract is where your acidophilus, or the generic term probiotics now covers. That's the friendly bacteria that you would get from fermented yogurt and other fermented foods that helps transfer the nutrients through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream, as well as serving a host of other functions, from immune functions to keeping cholesterol down, keeping you regular, keeping your skin good and your breath fresh. The big problem is that when we have low stomach acid, the symptoms are the same as high stomach acid, which is reflux, acid coming up the throat, and a heartburn sensation. The problem is a lot of medical professionals assume that those symptoms are high stomach acid. And if you're not assuming as much and taking Tums, they're putting you on acid suppressors. When you're on an acid suppressor, first off, your digestive situation never gets much better. But secondly, you end up 5 times more likely to pick up a superbug if you end up in a hospital, because that acid's your first line of defense, killing off bacterium that's trying to get into your system. So it's very important that you figure out whether your acid is low or high, and there's a simple test you can do to figure that out. You take a tablespoon of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar in a small amount of water, not too much water, because drinking with a meal will actually dilute your stomach acid, impeding your digestion. You take that at the beginning of each meal, or when those symptoms arise, and see if it either worsens or improves your condition. That acid in the form of the lemon juice or the cider vinegar is kicking up your stomach acid. So if it aggravates your conditions, you indeed have acid that's too high, and you'll have to do something to deal with that. And there are certain natural health products that are called pectin barriers that actually stop the acid from coming up, but don't lower the acid, reducing your ability to digest proteins and minerals and protecting you against these invasive bacteriums. The other factor will be, did the acid improve my digestion, which confirms that you have low stomach acid. Then you could consider taking a betaine hydrochloride as a substitute, or continuing on with the apple cider vinegar to raise your acid levels. Hydrochloride, stomach acid, cider vinegar, ultimately mostly required for animal protein. Meat, fish, cheese, eggs, chicken, those tend to be the things that require acid the most. Enzymes, mostly required with cooked foods. So they're not necessarily required with raw fruit or with raw salads, because raw foods have their own enzymes present. And acidophilus, I believe everybody requires. Every culture traditionally has a fermented, unpasteurized food that provides them with both lactic acid that rebuilds the environment and the acidophilus that colonizes the environment. Our culture pasteurizes almost everything. You can occasionally find a sauerkraut and a miso that are unpasteurized, and both these are high in enzymes and lactic acid, which creates an environment in your gut, again, to encourage friendly bacteria, discourage bad bacteria. So everybody should have probiotics around. They should take them on a semi-regular basis. You shouldn't need them every day. But if you have any kind of irritable bowel disease, Crohn's, colitis, constipation, diarrhea, those are times when you want to use these things therapeutically. And acidophilus, or probiotics as they're called, are also critical to have when you've been on antibiotics. Because antibiotics go through indiscriminately and they wipe out the good with the bad. And if you don't put the good back, the bad come back full strength. So this is a very important thing to protect your immune system for further degeneration after the abuse that antibiotics can wreak on our system. This is the simplest approach to digestive disorders, and hopefully this will be of some help to those of you with those problems, and we will see you next time on Vitamins. Thank you.